Monks living in harsh mountain conditions with strong immunity, no supplements, and almost no illness. You see a Tibetan monk walking barefoot across a cold stone courtyard at dawn, the air thin and sharp at 4,000 meters of altitude. He pauses, brings both hands to his abdomen, takes a slow breath through his nose, and something inside him steadies. An internal shift, subtle but powerful, like the body preparing itself before the day even begins. In this video, you'll learn how Tibetan monks strengthen their immune system using ancient training exposure rituals, breathwork, bitter herbs, vibration practices, and altitude conditioning methods designed not to boost immunity temporarily, but to build resilience from the inside out. And this matters because most people focus on supplements, quick fixes, or avoiding discomfort, while monks train their immune system the same way they train their mind, deliberately, consistently, and without shortcuts. I'm sharing this because I once believed immunity was something you inherited or lost, but monks taught me it's something you shape every single day. But the most surprising part is this: their strong immunity doesn't come from genetics or luck. It comes from training that begins long before illness ever appears. People often assume monks are naturally healthier, that they were simply born with stronger bodies or fortunate immune systems, but inside Tibetan monasteries, that idea would make them smile. Monks don't believe immunity is a gift. They believe it's something you cultivate the same way you cultivate discipline, clarity, or inner strength. Their resilience is built through daily habits practiced for years, not inherited from their parents or granted by the mountain air. A young monk arrives at the monastery as a child, often thin, shy, and unprepared for the harsh environment. The altitude is high, the temperature is low, and the routine is demanding. In those first months, many novices struggle with coughs, fatigue, or altitude sickness. But instead of being sheltered or medicated constantly, they are guided through practices that teach the body how to stabilize itself. Older monks watch them, correct their posture, adjust their breath, and teach them how to sit, walk, and even rest in ways that support the immune system. One of the first lessons is that illness is not an enemy, but a message. When a child gets sick, the monks don't rush to suppress symptoms. They sit with the novice, examine his breath, observe his tongue, feel the temperature of his skin. They consider sickness a form of blockage, something inside the body that has stopped moving. The goal is not to fight the illness, but to unblock the system. This perspective removes fear from the equation, and fear is one of the fastest ways to weaken immunity. Over time, monks learn that exposure is part of training. They don't hide from cold, wind, or physical effort. They wake up early when the air is sharp, clean courtyards before the sun rises, and walk long distances across uneven terrain. Their bodies learn to adapt because adaptation becomes part of life. Stressors become familiar, and familiar stressors stop overwhelming the immune system. This is why monks can live in extreme environments without getting sick constantly. They're not protected from discomfort, they're taught how to respond to it. Their routines also protect their immune system through rhythm. Monks sleep early, rise early, and follow a structured schedule. There are no chaotic eating patterns, no late-night overstimulation, no constant changes in routine. The body knows what to expect each day, and predictability strengthens internal systems. When the nervous system is calm, immunity rises. When life is chaotic, immunity drops. Monks eliminate chaos. Another factor is their relationship with stress. Monks don't suppress emotions, but they don't let them spiral. When frustration or fear appears, they breathe through it, observe it, and let it move. Emotional control is one of the most overlooked pillars of immunity, because chronic stress is one of the strongest suppressors of immune function. Monks train their mind not to feed stress, and in doing so protect the body from its damaging effects. Visitors often assume monks stay healthy because they isolate themselves from the world. But that's not true. Monasteries are full of people, crowded halls, shared blankets, communal meals, long rituals in tightly packed rooms. Germs are everywhere. What keeps monks healthy is not isolation but adaptation. They live close to others, share everything, and train their bodies to stay balanced in environments that would make many people sick. But the foundation of monastic immunity doesn't end with routine or mindset. Once a monk understands that health is something he builds, not something he receives, he begins the next stage of training, exposing himself deliberately to elements most people avoid. Because to strengthen the immune system, monks don't hide from stress, they use it. For monks, cold and heat are not enemies, they are teachers. And when used deliberately, they become powerful tools to strengthen the immune system. In monasteries perched high in the Himalayas, the environment itself becomes part of the training. At dawn, the air bites sharply. By midday, sunlight burns against stone walls. Monks move between these extremes not to prove toughness, but to force the body to adapt quickly and smoothly. This ability to shift between cold and heat without panic is one of the core reasons their immune systems grow so resilient. The training starts early in the morning. Before the sun rises, novices wash their faces and arms with icy water drawn from mountain streams. The shock is immediate, but they don't tense or gasp. They breathe steadily, allowing the cold to stimulate circulation rather than freeze it. This quick exposure wakes the system, tightens the skin temporarily, and triggers a controlled immune response. It's a small stressor, the kind that teaches the body to mobilize defenses without overreacting. After morning prayers, they shift into the opposite element, heat. But this heat doesn't come from saunas or fire. It comes from internal generation. Monks sit together in a training hall, rubbing their palms rapidly, striking certain points on their body to increase blood flow, and practicing short, sharp breaths that ignite warmth in the chest and abdomen. This creates an intentional spike in internal temperature. It's a ritual of controlled friction, heat born not from the environment, but from movement and breath. This cycle repeats throughout the day. Brief cold exposure followed by intentional warming. The alternation trains the immune system the same way weightlifting trains muscles, through stress and recovery. Cold triggers activation. Heat triggers release. Cold wakes innate immunity. Heat supports lymphatic flow. Together, they create bodies that don't crumble at the first sign of a virus or sudden weather change. Monks also use micro-exposures, moments where they intentionally remain in cold air without adding layers. When wind cuts sharply through mountain passes, they pause for a breath or two, allowing the chest to feel the cold before warming again with breath. These small moments accumulate. Each one tells the immune system, stay ready, stay adaptable. Modern research confirms that controlled cold exposure increases white blood cells and improves metabolic flexibility. For monks, this knowledge is old. They've lived it for centuries. The fire element is equally important. Monks sometimes sit in sunlit courtyards after long hours in cold halls. They allow the skin to soak warmth, but they don't become lethargic. Instead, they combine the sunlight with internal breathing that spreads heat through the body. The warmth stimulates vasodilation, bringing blood to the surface and helping detoxify the skin. This in turn supports the immune system's ability to eliminate waste and respond to infection. Fire is also used internally during illness. When a monk feels the first sign of congestion or fatigue, he performs quick rhythmic breaths while rubbing his chest and abdomen in circular motions. This creates localized heat that loosens phlegm, opens airways, and increases circulation. It's a monastic version of fever induction, except controlled and intentional. By warming the body before illness takes hold, they prevent infections from becoming serious. The cycles reach their peak during winter training sessions. Monks walk barefoot in snow for a few minutes, then return to heated rooms where they sit in meditation to spread heat through the body. The cold shocks the system, the heat stabilizes it. The contrast becomes a lesson in balance. Their immune systems learn to shift between defense and recovery instantly without the sluggish transitions that make many people vulnerable to illness. But cold and fire are only the beginning. Once the body has learned to adapt physically, monks move to a deeper layer of immunity, using breath as a way to flush the lymphatic system, clear stagnation, and keep the internal waters of the body moving. Breath becomes their internal immune massage, and it builds resilience from the inside out. For monks, breath is not just oxygen. Breath is movement. Breath is circulation. Breath is the pump that cleans the body from the inside. Most people assume the lymphatic system works automatically, but monks understand something deeper. While blood has the heart to move it, the lymphatic system relies on pressure, muscles, and breath. And because breath reaches the deepest parts of the body, it becomes their primary way to flush stagnation, clear mucus, and keep immunity strong without medicine. Their respiratory training begins with the diaphragm. Monks practice deep, low breathing that expands the abdomen fully, pushing downward on the organs and encouraging lymph to move through vessels that sit behind the belly. This motion is subtle but powerful. It is like wringing out a cloth. Each inhale compresses the organs slightly, and each exhale releases them. Over time, this continuous compression becomes a natural massage for the internal system, reducing inflammation and clearing toxins. But the monks don't stop at simple deep breathing. They add short retention phases, brief pauses after inhale or exhale that increase pressure in the chest and abdomen. This pressure forces lymph to accelerate through narrow channels. It is not intense breath holding. It is soft, controlled retention, enough to stimulate movement without triggering stress or dizziness. These small pauses have an outsized effect on immunity, helping the body identify and remove pathogens faster. A more advanced practice involves micro-vibrations inside the chest. Monks activate this by creating a quiet, subtle hum during exhalation. It's not chanting, and it's not vocalization. It's a vibration generated from deep in the throat or chest that travels downward into the lungs. This vibration loosens thick mucus, opens airways, and clears stagnation around the heart and lungs. It is especially valuable in high-altitude environments where air is thin and colds are common. Monks also use rib wave breathing, where they expand the rib cage outward in a ripple-like motion. This creates lateral pressure on the lymph nodes located near the sternum and under the armpits. The movement increases circulation in areas where stagnation often builds, especially during cold seasons. The breath becomes a sweeping current that moves through the torso, clearing what monks call congestion of energy, a physical and energetic blockage that weakens immunity. One of the most unique monastic techniques is phlegm cleansing breath. The monk inhales sharply through the nose, filling the upper chest, then exhales forcefully through the mouth with the tongue slightly curled. This creates turbulence in the airway, shaking loose mucus from the sinus and throat. After repeating this several times, they perform a gentle downward exhale to send the loosened mucus toward the stomach, where it can be neutralized by digestion. Over generations, monks have used this technique to prevent chronic coughs and sinus infections in harsh climates. Breath is also used to control inflammation. When a monk feels the beginning of sickness, warm forehead, heavy chest, or sluggish limbs, he performs cooling breaths by inhaling slowly through pursed lips and exhaling with a soft sigh. This gently lowers internal heat without suppressing the immune response. It prevents fever from becoming overwhelming while allowing the body to continue fighting infection. Visitors sometimes observe monks breathing in strange rhythmic patterns during prayer. These aren't random. Each breath pattern stimulates a different part of the immune system. Rapid belly pulses activate deep lymph flow. Slow rib expansion calms inflammation. Gentle humming clears the throat. Even slight breath holds strengthen the body's tolerance to low oxygen, a key part of their resilience. Once their breathwork has cleaned and awakened the body, monks move to the next layer of immunity, what they eat. Because diet is not just fuel for them, it is medicine, temperature regulation, cleansing agent, and strengthening ritual all at once. And the Tibetan immune diet is unlike anything found in modern wellness trends. For Tibetan monks, food is not comfort, and it is not entertainment. Food is warmth. Food is clarity. Food is medicine. Their immune strength is not only built through cold exposure and breathwork, it is also shaped in the kitchen, in the simple bowls of fermented drinks, bitter herbs, dense fats, and carefully timed meals that have been part of monastic life for centuries. Their diet is designed to keep the body warm, the digestion strong, and the immune system constantly alert but never overwhelmed. Everything begins with fermentation. In cold climates and at high altitudes, fresh food is scarce, so monks rely on fermented staples that support gut health. They drink chanko, a fermented barley drink that contains beneficial bacteria and mild natural acids. They eat thick homemade yogurts that are more sour than sweet, rich in probiotics that protect against infection. These fermented foods clean the digestive tract, improve nutrient absorption, and support the gut lining, one of the most important defenses against illness. A healthy gut keeps inflammation low and immunity high. Bitter herbs are another foundation of their diet. Monks regularly consume rhodiola, wild artemisia, dandelion root, and juniper berries. These herbs taste harsh, almost medicinal, but bitterness is one of the most powerful stimulants for digestion and immunity. A small amount of bitter tea before meals increases stomach acid, wakes up the liver, and boosts detoxification. More importantly, bitter herbs decrease mucus production, which monks see as a sign of internal stagnation. Less mucus means a stronger immune system and fewer respiratory problems in frigid climates. Fat is also essential. Tibetan monks consume dense fats from yak butter, goat milk, and sometimes mutton. These fats provide slow-burning energy that keeps the body warm for hours. In freezing temperatures, carbohydrates burn too quickly. Fats burn steadily, supporting internal heat and immune function. Yak butter tea, strong black tea mixed with butter and salt, is more than tradition, it is a thermal shield. The fats coat the stomach, soothe inflammation, and deliver energy that sustains them through prayer, work, and long exposure to cold. Soup is the cornerstone of monastic meals. Broths made from bones, barley, and root vegetables simmer for hours, creating warm, mineral-rich liquids that strengthen digestion and help the body build blood. The warmth of the soup relaxes the gut, improves circulation, and supports smooth immunity. Monks rarely eat raw food in winter because cold food forces the body to expend energy to warm it, weakening digestion. Warm, simple meals keep the body steady. Another key element of their diet is timing. Monks typically eat twice a day, an early morning meal and a midday meal. They avoid heavy eating at night because nighttime digestion disrupts sleep and weakens the immune system. By giving the gut long periods of rest, They allow the body to repair tissues, reduce inflammation, and maintain stable energy. Modern science has begun to validate this. Short daily fasts improve immune cell regeneration and metabolic flexibility. Monks have practiced this for centuries. Ritual fasting is also part of their immune strategy. On certain days, monks reduce food intake to give the digestive system a deeper reset. These fasts are not extreme. They drink plenty of warm liquids and consume small amounts of nourishing foods. The purpose is not deprivation, it is cleansing. This periodic rest helps eliminate toxins, reduce inflammation, and sharpen mental focus. A balanced body resists illness more effectively. Spices play a role too. Tibetan cuisine uses warming spices like ginger, black pepper, and garlic, all of which support circulation and act as natural antimicrobials. Garlic tea is a common remedy for early signs of sickness. Ginger is used to warm the core. Black pepper stimulates heat and digestion. Each spice helps maintain a body that is resilient and responsive. For monks, food is not separate from their spiritual practice. They eat mindfully, slowly, and without distraction. This calm state supports digestion and reduces stress, a critical factor for immunity. When the mind is calm, the gut works better. When the gut works better, the immune system becomes stronger. But even with all these dietary practices, monks rely on something else entirely to cleanse and fortify their body: the power of vibration. Through singing bowls and guttural chanting, they use sound to clear stagnation, move mucus, and stimulate circulation in ways modern science is only beginning to understand. For monks, sound is not art, sound is medicine. And in the cold, thin air of the Himalayas, where mucus builds easily, where lungs work harder, and where illness spreads quickly through shared halls, the ability to clear the body using vibration is essential. Monks use singing bowls, guttural chanting, and low-frequency resonance to cleanse the respiratory system, stimulate circulation, and move stagnant energy that would otherwise weaken immunity. It begins with the bowls. A monk sits with a large metal bowl resting on his palm. He strikes it gently, and the sound travels through the air in long, shimmering waves. But the power of the bowl is not in the sound you hear. It is in the vibration you feel. The bowl hums against the hand, sending subtle tremors up the arm and into the chest. These vibrations pulse through tissues around the lungs and heart, loosening mucus that has settled during cold nights. A monk breathes slowly as the bowl vibrates, letting the sound travel deeper into the body. The vibration acts like a massage on the inside, breaking up stagnation so it can be expelled naturally. Then comes the chanting. Tibetan chanting is not singing. It is a deliberate manipulation of the vocal cords and chest cavity to produce extremely low frequencies. When a monk chants, the sound seems to come from the earth itself. The vibration fills the chest, shaking loose any thickness or heaviness in the lungs. The low frequency also opens the sinuses, pushing out congestion and improving airflow. Monks say these vibrations wake the sleeping places inside the body, areas where energy has become blocked or where illness tends to settle. The chanting also has a second effect. It regulates breath. To produce deep, resonant tones, the monk must use slow, controlled exhalations. These long exhales engage the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body and reducing inflammation. This calm state allows the immune system to function more efficiently. It becomes easier for the body to fight off viruses, bacteria, or cold-induced irritation when stress is not interfering. Another aspect of vibration training involves throat resonance. Monks create a soft guttural sound while exhaling, almost like a gentle growl. This vibration travels through the throat and chest, reducing tightness in the airways. It is a technique used especially when monks feel the first signs of illness. The vibration shakes loose phlegm before it settles deep, making it easier to cough out without strain. It also helps keep the throat warm in icy wind. Monks practice this in groups as well. A hall full of chanting monks creates a resonant field where the combined vibration amplifies each individual's internal resonance. The floor seems to hum. The air itself vibrates. This shared vibration creates a communal purification, clearing the respiratory system of everyone present. In winter months when colds are common, these group chants become a powerful preventive ritual. Singing bowls are also placed directly on the body. Monks rest smaller bowls on the chest, back, or abdomen and strike them lightly. The vibration penetrates through muscle and tissue, stimulating circulation and breaking down stagnation. When placed on the upper back, the vibration opens the lungs. When placed on the belly, it supports digestion and helps move lymph. The body responds to vibration instinctively, releasing tension and improving immune function. What makes vibration so effective is that it reaches places where physical touch cannot: deep behind the ribs, within the sinuses, and around the heart. These are areas where illness often hides. Modern medicine uses percussion and inhalation therapies for similar reasons. Monks have done it for centuries, using sound. But clearing stagnation is not the end. Once the body is open, warm, and cleansed, monks take their immune training into the mountains, literally. They walk into thin air, challenging their lungs and blood to adapt to low oxygen levels. And in that hypoxic training, they build the final layer of their immune strength. For Tibetan monks, altitude is not an obstacle. It is a training ground. The mountains surrounding their monasteries rise thousands of meters into the sky, where the air grows thin, and every breath becomes effort. Most visitors struggle with dizziness, headaches, or exhaustion after only a short time. But monks use this environment deliberately to strengthen their lungs, blood, and immune system in ways few people ever experience. An altitude walk begins in silence. A group of monks steps onto narrow paths carved into the mountainside, wrapped in simple robes, walking at a slow, deliberate pace. The wind is sharp, the oxygen is low, and each breath feels thinner than the last. But instead of fighting for air or rushing to finish the climb, monks focus on rhythm. Their steps match their breath. Inhale for 2 steps, exhale for 3. This rhythmic breathing trains the lungs to draw more oxygen from less air, increasing efficiency with every climb. The thin air forces the body to adapt. Red blood cell production increases, circulation improves. The lymphatic system works harder. The immune system becomes more vigilant. It's similar to what athletes train for in high-altitude camps, but monks do it year-round and without performance goals. For them, altitude is a form of purification. The mountain tests the body, forcing it to become stronger, cleaner, and more resilient. As the monks climb higher, the air becomes colder and drier. These conditions normally irritate the throat and lungs, but monks use soft nasal breathing to warm and humidify the air before it enters the body. This gentle airflow reduces inflammation and protects the upper respiratory system from irritation and infection. Over time, their nasal passages become highly efficient at filtering cold air, reducing the risk of sickness commonly caused by sudden temperature changes. Altitude walks also strengthen immunity through controlled strain. The heart works harder, pumping blood into distant tissues. The lungs expand more fully. The diaphragm must work constantly. This effort itself becomes immune training. The body learns to handle stress without becoming inflamed. And because monks maintain calm mental focus throughout, the physical stress never transforms into emotional stress, something that often weakens immunity in everyday life. The silence of the walk also matters. Monks walk without talking, allowing their attention to become deeply internal. Silence lowers cortisol levels, reduces mental fatigue, and supports a clear mind. In this calm state, the nervous system stays balanced even while the body works hard. A balanced nervous system is the backbone of a strong immune system. Higher up the mountain, monks sometimes stop at specific points where the air is thinnest. They close their eyes, place their hands on their abdomen, and breathe deeply and steadily. This moment of stillness in extreme conditions teaches the body to remain stable even when oxygen is low. It is like training the immune system in a gym where the resistance is the environment itself. After long climbs, monks descend slowly, allowing the body to recover gradually. The descent is just as important as the ascent. As oxygen increases and pressure changes, the blood becomes richer and circulation smoother. This gradual recovery strengthens the immune response even more, allowing the body to integrate the stress rather than collapse under it. By the time they return to the monastery, their faces are flushed, their lungs open, and their minds calm. The walk has acted as a reset, a combination of breathwork, physical exertion, cold exposure, and hypoxic training that leaves the immune system stronger than before. These walks are not rituals of endurance, they are rituals of transformation. And with these altitude walks, the monks complete their full system of immune strengthening. They train the body through exposure, they activate the lymphatic system with breath, they purify the chest with vibration, they nourish themselves with warm medicinal foods, and they sharpen their resilience by climbing into thin air where the body must adapt or fail. The immune strength of Tibetan monks is not luck. It is not genetics. It is the result of a life built around resilience. Every breath they take, every meal they eat, every cold morning and high-altitude walk is part of a system designed to keep the body ready, open, and responsive. They don't wait to get sick before strengthening their immunity. They train it long before illness ever appears. Their relationship with the environment is different from ours. Where most people avoid cold, they use it. Where most people seek comfort, they accept discomfort. Where most people suppress symptoms, they listen to them. They treat the immune system as something alive, something that needs movement, exposure, pressure, warmth, stillness, and clarity to grow strong. Their breath becomes medicine. Their food becomes fuel for internal fire. Their chanting becomes vibration that cleans the body from the inside. Their altitude walks force the blood to adapt, the lungs to open, and the mind to remain steady under strain. And because they approach every practice with intention and awareness, their immune system follows their mind rather than reacting blindly to stress. What monks demonstrate is simple but powerful. The body becomes what you train it to become. If you train it to fear discomfort, it becomes fragile. If you train it to meet discomfort calmly, it becomes resilient. Immunity is not a shield you buy, it is a capacity you build. You might never live in a monastery, or walk at high altitude, or chant in deep halls filled with vibration, but the principle remains the same. Your body is listening to the way you live, and if you give it routines, exposure, good food, steady breath, and a calm mind, it will respond. It will grow stronger. It will protect you. That is the lesson monks carry from the mountains. The immune system is not a mystery. It is a skill, and like any skill, it can be trained quietly, consistently, and from the inside out.